Travel's supposed to be exciting, but for most of us, it's stressful, time consuming, and way more expensive than it should be. On World Travel Made Easy, I'll show you exactly how to flip that. Each week, you'll hear from different expert guests and get to hear real stories that are packed with different tools, credit card point strategies, and lessons that are going to save you time, cut cost, and make your trip smoother. Whether it's a solo adventure, a getaway with friends or family, or just travel that supports your business, this is going to be your shortcut to traveling smarter and most likely on points. Welcome back to another episode of World Travel Made Easy. On this week's episode, I'm excited to have the CEO of Category 5 Windows and First Class Advisors, Ryan Melnick. He helps business owners optimize their spend for travel, and he himself has been a business owner for many years, leveraging credit card points and strategies, and really excited to dive in today with him. How's it going today, Ryan?
Good. How you doing, my friend?
Good, good. Excited to have you here and to learn a little bit more from you. I know you're deep into the game of points and miles. You've been doing this for a long time, but would love just to hear a little bit more about, your company that you have now with Category 5 Windows, and then also just the new exciting venture that you just launched, First Class Advisors.
Yeah, so I won't get into too much of the nitty-gritty details of a random construction business. But yeah, we sell windows and doors. So I spend a couple $100,000 a month, which really helps with something like this in this type of business and this hobby as it relates to helping other people optimize their own spend. So we work with commercial contractors and high-end builders to basically work alongside them to get them the windows and doors that their clients want for their homes or for the commercial buildings that we're working on the greater Central Florida area, but we kind of do work all across Florida. Kind of stumbled into the business a little bit through a business partner. Long story, but that went sour, and here we are. I own 100% of the business, and yeah, I'm not the drill guy. Don't Never wasn't had no experience in construction whatsoever. I was building websites and doing online marketing, drop shipping, doing private label overseas, and I just wanted something greater. And so I was like, I want a brick and mortar business, and that's kind of went searching for that and got into this, and it's been great since. But now I'm at the point where like getting back into doing a lot of the traveling. Did it for a while, but had two kids, got married and had two kids. And so now taking the kids with us places and, kind of looking to get back into one of my biggest loves, which is points in the game of leveraging the money that's spent into free business and first class travel for people. And that's why I started First Class Advisors, was to help people who might not know all of the resources that they have available to them to be able to, leverage that for their own personal gain of being able to do things and not have to sit, in those stuffy economy seats, over the pond.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that background because it gives insights. And I'm just around, right? You've been a business owner, right? You started out with drop shipping. You started out with those different things, and then moved into right doing this. And now you have first class advisors, which is awesome. And really excited just to dive into, those specific things. But just around the drop shipping piece, is that in that company, is that was that your first business that you got started with?
So it's funny you actually asked that because I started, I've heard in the past, apparently I look and talk. I went to conferences. I had like used to sell courses about drop shipping after I had some successful stores. This was back in 2016. So like kind of the early days of this stuff, early days of Facebook, the glory days of some of these products where you could sell. I think my best day ever was 46,000 in a day, which was about 950 orders in one day. Some of it happened while I slept, which was making money while you sleep. Like it's one of the things that people always look at, right? It's like, oh man. And it was really, really cool. But before that, goodness, a lot of times people think that I talk or look or whatever like Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if it's because I speak fast or whatever. Maybe I actually started buying stuff from garage sales and selling it on eBay. Believe it or not, same way Gary Vee talks about, going out on a Saturday. I have some crazy flips I did. I went to a rummage sale, got some seminary books and flipped them for over $3,000. I think it was 2,500 around there. I spent $5 on them. I used to do Legos, gaming consoles, like antiques, stuff like that, just to make money. I was back in high school. It's about 2011, 2012. Started there, learned how to make money on the internet a little bit, went to college, and after a year, I was like, man, I just want to like do something to make my own money outside of eBay and go in these random garage sales in Tallahassee, Florida, in the boonies. So I found out about Shopify, built a website, and then found out that you could integrate some, you know, basically automated code and use, a VA in the Philippines, and you could use an agent, and you could have manufacturers in China, and the ads run by themselves, and you can have customer service. You do all that, and you don't have to do anything. And it worked really well. It was a really, really great learning experience, and did a couple years
Hey,
back.
I wanted to take a quick break to say thank you so much for tuning into the show. The only way the show grows is through listeners like you helping us share it. So if you're enjoying the show, it'd mean the world to me if you hit that 5-star rating, shared it with a friend or family member who's ready to travel more, save money, or just needs a little bit more inspiration and that nudge. And if you're posting about it on Instagram, go ahead and tag Itinerary Boss, and we'll make sure to reshare it and shout you out for giving us a shout out. Thanks so much for the support. It truly means a lot. And now back with the show.
Years that, and then built a 50-hour course, taught that, and I think I got a little burnt out of it, and just was looking for something different. So
Nice, man. So you've been a hustler since you grew up. That's awesome. I love when I get to interview other business owners and just learn about whether it's on the podcast, whether it's just sitting down and just talking with them, because everyone always comes from a different path, and it's cool just to hear, right? You started there, and then now, like you said, brick and mortar construction company, now to, right, you're getting back to one of your first loves, which is points and miles and travel. And through those different things, I mean, you've learned a bunch of different stuff, which kind of brings you to travel. And yeah, similarly, I mean, my first business, I was knocking on doors, getting a grass cutting business around the neighborhood, walking dogs, right? How do you layer that in? Saving money, starting to
right,
investing in real estate. And then you kind of realize like, oh, this is a lot better than working for someone else. And, having these constraints and, along the way, learning travel, learning how to use credit cards. And that's the cool part about it is, when you do have a business or even just personally, if you are traveling, you learn the ins and outs. So I would love to hear just like through all of that, when did kind of the light bulb come on from just a credit card standpoint? Was that first business with Shopify, or yeah, talk to me a little bit more about that.
so in 2016, I was a sophomore at Florida State. I didn't know what I was going to study, and I rolled into the entrepreneurship school. And they're like, "Oh, you need to be here. You're trying to be." I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm not doing this nonsense. This is a degree in entrepreneurship." Called my dad. My dad's like, "No, you can't. You can't get a job with an entrepreneurship degree." And I'm like, "Great. Now I'm definitely going to do it because my dad told me not to." So I went and did it. Best thing I ever did, because I got to sit in class with my laptop and build a website, and nobody would bother me because we were building businesses. Got to a point a couple months in where my professor, who had owned a trucking company and sold it for $5 million, very knowledgeable in ops and marketing and sales, but brick and mortar based growth, HR, ops, like all. He's like, I'm like, yeah, Facebook, da, 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 I'm running $20,000 of ads a day. He's like, dude, you are speaking alien language. And I'm like, got it. So, I quickly learned that I was out of the realm of asking for any help from a lot of people, and just had to kind of trial by fire it a little bit. And so, I'm doing it with cash, got a credit card, got two credit cards, found out that ad spend, was qualified as a 4X on the Amex Gold, even back in the day, and 3X on a certain Chase business card. I'm like, man, that's cool. I don't know what these points things are, but like, it's kind of cool. And actually, before I got those, one of the first redemptions I ever did was a terrible redemption, but showed me what I could do. I had a Southwest business card, and I had a bunch of points. So I went and got a Royal Caribbean gift card for 1 penny per point. And
I
I
love it.
got like $1,500 worth of gift cards, and took my girlfriend, who's my wife now, on this cruise. And it was basically free. It was Royal Caribbean cruise. And I had a product that was going massively viral as I was leaving. And I was like, crap, my virtual assistant and my roommate who I had hired are going to be running this business while I'm on a boat. I don't know what's going to happen. I scaled it up. Right before I got on the boat, I scaled up all my ads like 40%. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it. Uh, Higher on my spend. And I'll never forget finally getting internet and reloading my Shopify screen. And it was at $5,000 for that day. And it was 3 in the morning. And I reloaded the screen at 11 and it was at $17,000. And I'm like, holy crap, this is insane. I was sleeping, $12,000 in revenue. And that was kind of the first redemption. First, like, came home and I was like, talked to my girlfriend about, man, we didn't spend any money. That was cool. And started talking to one of my other buddies who was in college with me, also in the entrepreneurship program, building websites. And I was like, there's these point things, whatever. And I had like 500,000 point Amex points. I didn't know what they were. So I was like, I'm gonna do some research. So I did some research, found the Chris Flyer, Singapore Airlines program. I was like, we were like, all right, we got to go to China. We got to go to Singapore to go to this event, this e-commerce summit, to hang out with these people, other people who know a lot about this stuff, because we don't know what we're doing. We kind of do. We're teaching people, but we don't really know what we're doing. And we're just kids, And so I booked these first class flights from LA. We flew from Tallahassee to Atlanta to LA and LA to Singapore, first class. We sit down and I'm wearing like gym shorts in like an FSU, like dry fit. Like I look like a bum. So does my buddy. We walk in, they're like, Mr. Melnick. I'm like, that's me. And she's like, this is your seat. I'm like, okay. She's like, the class is empty. So this is your bed. Like, oh, that's and it was the Singapore Airlines 777. It was the LA to Singapore route. And that was like the first like, oh, this is what this is moment of like, this is a $7,000 flight. I got it for free. I'm drinking Dom Perignon. They're calling me Mr. Melnick. She tucked me in. I had beef tenderloin. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And so that's when I was like completely hooked. We flew it back too, because I had all these points I had to get rid of,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
flew it back and I was like, I'm hooked for life.
I love
And
it.
it's 2000, yeah, 2016, 2017, I think. So almost 10 years ago.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's cool too. You were in college, and I mean the fact that you were in college and had 500 Amex points, I feel like that's just unheard of right off the bat. You're just crushing it with ads. And no, I mean I feel like we've all made that. Like once we get into it, you still get the free trip, right? Whether it's, oh, I went on this trip and I used a statement credit, or right, I use like the gift cards for the cruise. There's always that one aha moment, and then you're like, wait, how am I seeing people flying in business class on points and I did, right? Like, and once you start to do that, once you start to, whether it's traveling for work or personal, and you start to realize, oh, this is free, it always just sends people down the rabbit hole. No matter if it's like a free $200 flight, and then you're like, okay, I got to get into this. That's pretty cool. And the fact that I'm just cracking up that you guys were in college and
I was 20, 21, 2022, 22, but 22. My buddy was about 22. There was some irresponsible things that also happened.
yeah.
He bought an AMG C63. I didn't buy any cars or anything. He bought a really nice like sports car, like Mercedes. We would go to the bar, Tallahassee, and like, you know, routinely like 3 grand, 4 grand in a night.
Wow.
I wasn't doing that really. He was.
Yeah.
And then we taught all our, we had like 7 friends, all our websites. A lot of us would run the same products because we were running them global all around the world. And it just was a machine. And I mean, I look back and it's just absolutely insane, but shows you what's possible.
Yeah. No, I love it. What about, so now, you've been in the game almost 10 years just since then. That's a awesome redemption so earlier in your life. Like, how do you currently, with your business is now, like, how do you just leverage credit cards as a business owner? And I mean, I think it's good too, because a lot of people, some people are in the e-commerce space. So just kind of breaking down when you were going through that, how you did, as well as now with your business. I love what you talk about, and I think this is something that I always run into is that 3% fee. And with real estate investors, you work with a lot of high-end, right, developers, construction. So
Sure.
would love just to hear your perspective
Yeah.
on.
So a lot of people talk about it as a 3% fee. I don't look at it as a 3% fee. I look at it as almost like an interest rate on the flip. So you could take it right off the top here and say, okay, just very, very basic numbers before even getting into the travel side. Let's just say one of the cards I don't necessarily love, but the Chase Premier card. You're spending over $5,000 on a transaction, you get 2.5%. So if your fee, quote unquote, is 2.9%, which is a lot of the like money where you can do like cash transactions, like on Melio or Plastic or Bill or whatever it's called, or whatever the specific software is you might use. Like we use Melio, and based off our spend, we're in like a platinum program. We're at 2.8% is our fee now because it goes down as you spend more. So 2.8. So I got to make up my 2.8, right? If I got to make up 2.8, let's just say I'm not even going to do travel. Say I'm just going to do my 2.5. All right, my 2.5. Let's say I spend $100,000 in a month. All right, $100,000. I'm theoretically, in your mindset, I'm paying $2,800, right? Well, if I get, let's just say in a very basic sense, $2,500 in cash back at a 2.5% rate, what am I really paying? $300? Okay. So I just got a $100,000 loan for 300 bucks on a term of 30 to 45 days. Or the flip side of the way you can look at it is I was spending $100,000 in cash. Now I take that $100,000, I throw it into a CD that makes 5%.
Yeah.
Now where you have? And
Yeah.
you have the cash flow available. You can sweep it back and use it to further your business and do other things. That's the most very basic element of it. If you use it for travel, it's not even it's a joke. It's not even a question because you get that either Capital One, 2 times points. You use your transfer partners or 1.5 times points with your chasing unlimited card. You immediately cut that fee, chop it right in half, and use transfer partners or use an elevated portal like the Chase portal at the absolute minimum. But for the most part, transfer partners are going to give you 5, 7, 8 times per point on your value. So now we're talking about, okay, I got to eliminate 1.5%. I spent $100,000 in a month, but I'm getting 5 to 6x that. Okay, so my fee of $2,800 is now we're at $6,000. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you really break it down, it's not really a fee as much as you think it might be. It's just a perspective how you look at it. But about 2 years ago, I moved about from 20% of my business through cards. So on a monthly basis, we were probably putting, I don't know, $40,000 on cards. A lot of my business running through cash to 100%, 99.999%. Really, payroll is the only thing that I don't put on there, and that you can do that. It's just a little bit of a pain in the butt. So, and maybe not as legit as other things are. So now I run everything through Melio and through my suppliers and manufacturers and even 1099 contractors through credit cards to get the float, to grow the business, to help with cash flow, and to maximize the value I get with travel because it's well worth it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What just to kind of because I think some people are very numbers driven, but then some people are like destination driven or like, okay, what
Sure.
does this turn into travel? Are there any specific redemptions just since you've moved that over to almost 100% that, that's been able to net you and just provide for you guys to go on trips?
Yeah, for sure. So, like just for instance, I sent my wife, my mother-in-law, and my sister to London on Virgin. This is before the Virgin uptick, the London Heathrow uptick in their taxes, but it's still a good redemption. Orlando to London direct, 29,000 points.
Yeah, it's wild. In upper class, right?
Upper class
Yeah,
per person, $7,400 flight.
that's
It's a
wild.
$7,400 flight. So 29,000 points. I did have to pay about $400 in taxes per person. So about $1,200 in cash plus your 70, we'll call it 75,000, we'll round up 75,000 points, which is worth in theory $750. So you're telling me I got a $1,950 cash value that it's worth 22 grand. And I spent 1950%. So in upper class, which was a really cool thing to watch them do. They went on a girls' trip and it was awesome. So to watch that was pretty cool. That was a great redemption there and back. I spent basically 150,000 points and about $2,400 in taxes, which is a little bit more on the taxes side of things. So I like to personally, I have a lot of points, so I like to spend more points and spend less in taxes just because I have the points rather than not spend the cash. But that was a really, really good, phenomenal redemption, obviously on a cost per point basis. You're not always getting 20, 30 cents per point, but it definitely can happen. One of my more recent I'm sure you've seen, is my whole Switzerland, Italy itinerary trip that we did. I did the whole thing on LinkedIn about, the whole thing I redeemed and how many points. Certain legs of that, I wanted to do specific things and I wasn't looking for the best redemption. It was like, this is the best kids hotel in the world. I don't care.
Yeah.
Penny per point is what it is. But for the entire thing, I was at almost a 6x, even with those redemptions involved. So there's still substantial value through an entire trip to be able to do that. I did Emirates business for me, my son, my wife, and our infant. We booked it in business. It was not available in first. This was before Emirates switched over. You can't book it through Emirates in first with, unless you're a higher end loyalty, but you could book it, but it wasn't available. Pretty common with Emirates anyway, back in the day. Booked a business, got there. I was like, man, I'm gonna do anything I can to get us up there. But unfortunately, I'm gonna need 3 seats in first class on the A380 from from JFK to Milan. There's only like 8 seats in first class to start. So found out there was 3 seats available, exactly 3. And they put me on standby. It was like I think it was like 85,000 points for 3 people for the upgrade. So I had spent about 200, maybe 220,000 points, give or take, for the initial business booking. And then the upgrade was about 80 or 85,000 points in Emirates Sky Rewards to upgrade to first class. Put me on the wait list. They actually ended up having to call another passenger because my wife, I love her, but being a little difficult, is like, we're not putting our son, 3-year-old son, too far away from us. I'm like, it's first class. She's like, no. I'm like, okay. So they end up, I mentioned that to the rep, and they called. It's a very, very nice man. John Wang is his name, Asian man, the myth, the legend, John Wang. He's like, you want to upgrade to first class and you want to be with your family? He's like, sold. He's like, I'll move. So he moved seats. Then we got to be together.
That's
I was right
awesome.
across from the 2 of them. And here's the crazy hack, though. Because and I believe this is the reason why, you're already in the airport. You do not have to pay the difference on the infant fare, which is crazy because we know about international business and first class or infants, 10% the standard rate. So I had already paid $400 for my daughter in taxes just to be on the flight as an infant, which is annoying. She just sleeps, whatever. So you pay whatever, you do all that, you're already in the airport. So the difference is just the points. So what would have been an $11,000 flight, which means I would have had to pay $700 in extra taxes, I did not pay because I got the first class upgrade in the lounge right before boarding. So we got to go first class, JFK to Milan. Very cool experience. I got to do the bar, in the second story, which is cool. Espresso martini with my daughter. I have a picture of my daughter with the Emirates women, and very cool experience. Great airline, not my favorite, but definitely up there.
Yeah.
Definitely a cool, I would say, pretty legendary redemption there.
That's awesome. I think it's cool too. Like you started out with, it wasn't, hey, I went and got X amount cents per point. Yes, you did on the Virgin, but you talked about, and what I think is cool is you talked about sending your wife, her mom and family over on a girls' trip, which I think that's when, we're working with business owners, it's okay, where do you want to go? It's not just about the points. And one thing that I like that you said is, sure, it wasn't the biggest redemption at the best kids hotel that you wanted to stay at. Because at the end of the day, right, not everyone, sometimes people may not have super, super flexible schedules, or they may say, hey, this is what we want to do. I think it's our job to just help people understand, like, yeah, you want to, if you have all these points, definitely fly business class. But if there's somewhere you want to stay or something you really want to do, don't stay down the street, right, at the Hyatt Place because it's less
Right.
points, right? If you have the points, stay at the better one that even if it's not as great of a redemption, like you're probably not taking that many vacations. And if you have those, go ahead and blow them because points do devalue over time.
Absolutely.
So I
I've been
love
there as
that
well.
because, yeah, I think there's a lot of people I talk to that are like, hey, I've accumulated all these points over 5 years, but I don't know what to do with them. And they're like, I'm just saving it up. Or there's people who, yeah, I'll travel in 30 years. And it's like, yeah, but those points may go away. And it's,
Classic example. In my opinion, the best redemption as it relates to the highest end, best redemption you could possibly get out there as it relates to the product, class of service, everything related to it, is the Singapore Airlines A380 double bed in the sky. I wanted to do that so bad. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. We're doing it. We're going JFK to Frankfurt. I have the points. What am I doing here? Just I'm not earning them for fun. I'm earning them to go have fun and do this. 240,000 points one way. And I had a first class flight on Emirates booked the way back for me, my wife, and my son at the time, who was an infant. So we only needed 2 seats. And I just booked it. And I'm like, it would be cool to shower in the sky. I want to do that. Don't get me wrong. But I know that the double bed in the sky is the coolest experience and the best experience you possibly have. I canceled the flight, left my Emirates miles in Emirates, transferred more miles over to Singapore, and booked the way back in Singapore as well. And I do not regret it in any way, shape, or form. A couple reasons why. One, it was the coolest experience, best service, class, food, everything in the entire world. Now, I haven't been on Etihad, so I don't know. I know Swiss came out with this crazy new first class thing. So based off what I've been on, which is Cathay, Polaris, Emirates, Singapore was by far and away the best experience, best food, best product, best cabin. Huge double bed, huge TV. You have a dedicated flight attendant. The bathroom is massive. They give you all the pajamas, all the everything. And we did it the way back, and it was absolutely amazing. It cost us almost 500,000 points, but not long ago, they eliminated that route from the United States. They no longer fly the A380 on a fifth fleet freedom over
yeah,
to Germany. You have to be in Asia. And I believe you can actually, you may be able to grab it from Frankfurt. I don't think you can actually. I think you have to be coming out of Singapore. So, or over there somewhere. You never know what's going to happen. And like, honestly, I'm not even sure why that fifth freedom flight like existed. It was always empty when I was on it. But that experience is one you simply cannot replace. The coolest thing I've ever done, and be able to tell people I've done that. When I say it, they're like, I show it to them, and they're like, it's like 13 heads pop out of me. It's like they look at me like I'm nuts. And probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever had is that just being in that moment is like, this is insane. You feel like I mean, the president of the United States on your own freaking massive triple
that's
seven or something.
hilarious.
Because
That's
it's just,
awesome.
just so much basic a hotel room.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. But I like that example because, yeah, it's, if there's something, not everyone's going to want to do the same thing. So it's like, don't just go and say, oh, this, people don't need to go and see, hey, this is what online is telling. It's like, where do you want to go? Where does your family want to go? Right. And if you have those points, like, obviously get a good redemption, but just focus in on, right, what you want to do. I'm curious just from like a ballpark number standpoint, like points wise, when you moved from not paying everything on cards to then now, like ballpark, just do you know how much your points wise you're getting or what that potential just like cash value could
Um,
be at?
so like I can tell you right, like in this very moment, I mean, I spent about just over 1 million points on my trip to Europe. And I just spent a bunch of points on our trip to the Bahamas. Because I've sent, you know, 12, 13 people to the Bahamas. And I used points for that. But I think currently I, have like a current balance of probably about 1.8 million Chase points, about 600,000 Capital One, and about, I don't know, maybe 300,000 Amex. And then I have Hilton and Hyatt and just random points in other places, things that are stuck in like Qatar because I booked something, stuff like that. And I think my churn right now, on a monthly basis, I'm currently pulling in probably on average between 250 and 450 a month in 100,000 points. Mainly because, I mean, some of the commercial contracts we do on the Windows side, it's like, okay, like I got to pay a $99,000 bill. Okay. If I pay a $99,000 bill with, a Capital One, that's 200,000 points.
Yep.
That's one single transaction in that month. So like, my cost is commonly 30,000, 50,000, $80,000 on these, even the homes. We're building large custom homes that are worth $5 million. Their window package, my cost on the window package could easily be 50 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand, 150 grand. If it's in the coast, it could be 170 grand for my cost. So it really varies, but I would say $250,000 at pretty much the absolute minimum I'm earning on a monthly basis. Whereas before I was probably earning about, honestly, man, 40,000 points. And part of the reason too is I just didn't really care to
Yeah.
optimize because I was spending money, but I wasn't taking as many trips because I had a newborn baby, and you're not going to Europe and stuff until at least they're at, one or something. So I just got to a certain point. I was like, I need the cash flow too to continue to scale the business because, commercial contracting, nobody wants to pay. So my receivables are always up somewhere near $1 million that people owe me money on. So, you have to find ways to get creative and finance things in different ways. And getting an extra 30 to 45 days is a massive, massive cheat code to be able to do that.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. I love how you always you break it down, when we talk offline just very simply, and I think that's good for just business owners because yeah, there's a ton of, I mean, people in commercial, residential, real estate service businesses that are just doing ACH and debit because that, and I like how you break down the 3% fee and you show, hey, this is what I was doing, this is how many I was earning. Obviously, it was for your personal situation, but once you changed that once you guys were able to get back into travel, right? Now it's like you have a ton of points and you're just making strategic moves. Are there any specific cards that you personally like just based on, your business and if it's someone like in a similar business to what you're doing?
So I love the Chase ecosystem. I love it less than I used to because I really loved when we had the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Do everything through business, connect the accounts, and transfer it all over after you spend, and redeem at an absolute minimum of 1.5 points after you get your 1.5 points, and you're at a minimum of 2.25, no matter what happened on rental cars, hotels, flights. That has changed. Now you get this points boost. Love you, Chase, but the truth is, to be honest, they're just trying to kind of more than likely get one over on us where they're going to do these points boost on the very, Four Seasons, the things where it's like, okay, great. Was I going to spend $3,000 on that anyway? Now I can get it for 200,000 points a night. Great.
Yeah.
So some of those like bare minimum baseline floor redemptions. I always talk about the floor. You can talk about ceiling all day long. People do this huge marketing campaigns, everything talk about, oh, I got 20 cents per point. Yeah, I really talked about that. You can do that. But what's my floor? Because in business, we always talk about like, what's my return? What is my guaranteed floor? What does that look like? That's why I mentioned the Premier card, which is not a great card. But if you're spending your transactions over $5,000, you're going to get a 2.5% cash or points on everything. So if you're spending 2.9 in a fee, you now have to cover 0.004. So like it's very, very small. That's just the easiest way to break it down because that's one of the higher, like, well-known cards like that. But I still like the Chase ecosystem. I like Capital One more now that Chase is not as good. And then, I like to diversify, so I also use Amex. I think it needs to be toned down a little bit. The Amex with platinum, it's a little bit, to be honest, getting on the psychological side of things. I learned about 7, 8 years ago. It's just not about what anybody thinks about you. You need to shave that down and go, it's just about quality of life, being happy, what you can do for yourself, and who cares what everybody else thinks. It's just it's just their opinion. Put it this way, opinions are like armpits. Everybody has one, but most of them stink, as people say. Many vulgar ways, much more than that. That said, why do you put $2 million on your Amex Platinum? Because when you go to a restaurant, you want to slap down a platinum card or a black card. So it's not about that. It's about what you can get. What are you getting? Like, I'm not impressed when somebody tells me they put $2 million in their business platinum. I'm kind of disappointed. I'm like, well, what are you doing with the unsexy cards? Like, I love the Chase Ink Unlimited card, one of my go-tos. I have it. My wife has it under our business. $150,000 credit line. She has a $150,000 credit line. I move those lines between a couple cards, but mainly using those cards. 1.5 times on every category on every single purchase. So no matter what, I spend 100 grand a month, I get 150,000 points. And Chase is still, with the transfer partners and everything you can do, is still worth more than the other programs. Capital One, I have the Venture X business card. It's been a little bit downgraded with some of the things changes they've made, but I think I mentioned this to you. I'm still working on the $200,000. It was a different. It was a spend 20 grand,
Yeah.
get 250.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The wild welcome
yeah,
offer that they had that
yeah,
if they bring that back, I think there will be so many people that run in if you're spending that type of money.
yeah. Well, because the crazy thing is, I talked to a couple people about it, and they're like, "Ah, it's not an offer." I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't spend $1 million a year. You don't spend $3 million a year. Like, if you're spending it, you get 250. When you spend 200K, you get another 150.
Yeah.
So it really breaks down to, you spend 200K, you're getting 2 times points on every
Yeah.
purchase. You get 400K plus 350. You're getting 750,000 points to spend 200. Now
Well,
it's a charge card.
yeah. But
So I'm in month 4. I could spend that in 1 month, but they don't let me.
yeah.
So, and I'm all about leveraging the cash flow too. So like, I'm like slow playing it, because they're like, oh, just, you have a $50,000 balance. It's due in 29 days. Just pay 30,000 of it down. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll wait 28 days. I'll pay it down, and then I'll spend, the next month. So, there's ways you can take advantage of those offers when they come up and they boom. But I still like Capital One because they have some pretty good transfer partners, and transfer partners are the best way to get value, and you can get 2 times points on a lot of their cards. So I guess my rankings would be probably, as of right now, Chase, Capital One, Amex. City is a little targeted, American, cashback, certain things you want to do, but those are the big three anyway. So those are the ones I
Yeah.
mainly focus on.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Definitely not spending as much as you are, but just from the personal side, different businesses. It's pretty much Chase ecosystem, Capital One. My wife both and I have that, and then an Amex here or there, just diversify. But I know Citi came out with some of the newer ones. It's in Charlotte's an American hub. I'm like, American has some
That's
sweet
right.
spots for me, I'm always trying to figure out how do I earn more American points because they got some good 70K sweet spots on Qatar Q suites, which we flew that this April, and that was amazing. And
Oh, yeah.
we were trying to get it. We're going to South Africa the next spring, and we were trying to potentially fly to Doha, and then fly from there because they have directs, but I just don't have enough Amex or American Airlines points, and they don't have any. I'm tracking it on Seats.aero to see if they'll drop it just on where we can transfer them from either Chase, Capital One, or Amex, but that'll probably be closer to. But yeah, those American Airlines points here in Charlotte are.
Why do you feel like you have to use American though? Because you could go another way of getting, like, booking Qatar through a partner.
Yeah, so we could just the availability right now from what I've been looking at. It's just it
Yeah,
can't
which is
find it
widespread
for
availability is better. Yeah.
yeah, just from everything is
Well,
up
that's
like
pretty far out though.
yeah, yeah.
That's probably, I would assume that's a lot of the reason why.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I tracked Emirates substantially. I've tracked Singapore and done their wait list. What a unique, I don't know if you've ever done that. Singapore's wait list is crazy. You want to sweat? 2000 freaking 16 Singapore Airlines wait list. I'm like at home from college and like going through like I put the points in my account. I'm on the wait list for like 9 flights and it's day 14's coming up and they all clear. And I'm getting like text messages. This one's clear. So, oh, where do I want to go? Do I want to leave from San Francisco? Do I leave from, it's crazy. I mean,
Jeez.
what a gamut that is. But it's another one, man. They're devaluing again. And
Yeah.
like you said, man, these points, they're not going up in value. They are a huge profit hub for these airlines and these issuers, but they're not going to continue to make. I even told my wife one time, I was like, I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't know why they allow people like us to spend points and $200 in taxes to fly this 10,000. Like, why do they allow that? I hope that continues. And I don't want
Yeah.
to say it too loud, but like, that's crazy.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
100%. 100%. Well, no, this has been super helpful, Ryan. Anything you just want to leave our listeners with? Most of them are business owners. So if there's anything you ever see, right, mistakes they're making, or just, if they're just getting into the game, right, are there any pieces of advice?
I mean, you want to make sure you're financially stable and financially intelligent enough to not, because credit cards can be very, very valuable and a great resource, but they can also be detrimental to your entire life and ruin everything. Claim bankruptcy. Like if you don't know what you're doing or you don't go find out, like Google, we're in the age of information. There's no question you can't have, we have AI now. You can get anything answered, right, wrong, and different. Internet never lies. Everything on the internet is true. So, but you can find things. You can get all the information. You can learn. I mean, I got in this business, didn't know anything about it. I've been in this business for 5 years now, 6 years now. I know as much as the old guys do because like there's so much information out there. You can learn. You can get into something. You can learn everything. So having the financial intelligence, stability, that's important. But if you have that, you can utilize it to leverage your business, to scale your business, to do so much, and be able to travel the world for free. At least right now, we are buying the dip on being able to do this. Even the devaluations, this is the dip. We are buying the dip. It's been in a dip. I hope it continues to dip because at some point they may look at this and go, we don't know if this value still makes sense. And so we're still at it right now. I'd say the number one thing as relates to business owners and credit cards is like ask.
Yeah.
Ask. I did not know. I carry 11 different winning manufacturers. One of my winning manufacturers, they gave me special pricing. I talked with the CEO. They're smaller, but his accounting department is kind of disconnected from him and the vice president of sales and stuff we work with. I did not know until I got to the point of paying my net 30 bill, where it was like, it was going to be due in like 2 or 3 days. So I called in. I'm going to pay with the credit card. She goes, okay, what's card number? Card number. Da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, that'll be, I think it was like 130,000. Okay. There's her card number. Great. She's like, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. I'm like, did you get my card number? She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. And what was can you give me the exact amount I need to write it down? 130,000. Okay. No fee. American Express.
I love it.
My man just took a cut for 3.2% for me to get, it was an Amex Platinum, I think, which of course I just kind of talked that down and then I used that. But
You still got probably
but
1.5 times the points. So
exactly. So I
so
still
it's
got almost 200,000 points for literally free. Got a 30-day loan for free. Like, ask. You never know. Some people don't charge. Some companies are too big. Some companies don't care. I have another company. I buy about $1 million from them a year, and they charge me 2%. Why 2%? I don't know. They're definitely not covering their cost basis, but they do it. Great. Perfect for me. 2%, I'm covering. I'm in the green right away. So ask. Ask. You never know who might accept card, and you never know, they may not charge you a fee. You don't have to ask about the fee, just ask if they take card.
yeah.
They may not
Then
even mention the fee. They may feel bad telling you there is a fee. because I know how that is too. So people ask me, and I'm like, yeah, there's a fee if you want to spend a card with us because I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
But you never know. Just ask, hey, do you take a card? And if they don't, you want to still do it, you can still use a company like Melio. Um, and there's that ability too. So I would say ask and make sure you're financially intelligent to be able to do this stuff because that's what's important, obviously. But if you are, the world is your cornucopia.
I love it. No, that's a great way to wrap us up. And yeah, I appreciate you providing that because yeah, we try to be as transparent as possible. It's like always focus on the financial piece first because yes, this can be very rewarding, but it doesn't happen overnight. And if you have, if you spend too much and then you aren't paying that off, like the points don't outweigh the cost of these huge interest rates. So that,
Right.
and yeah, no, that, and yeah, just ask the question. And if, and if you are afraid of that fee and, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are trying to learn, hopefully. And you definitely did learn something from Ryan. That's why I wanted to bring him on. But again, brother, appreciate you coming on. This has been great. Where can our listeners get in touch with you?
So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn at Ryan Melnick. That's probably the best place to find me. Yeah, that's probably the best place to find me. I will be launching a website soon here. As I mentioned to you, like off the pod is so much honestly like wants and needs and value for people wanting this kind of thing. I was like, man, I have to start a business for this because like
Yeah.
people want to pay me money for it. So we're not even done with the website yet, but it's First Class Advisors. It's actually firstclassadvisor.com, which will be launched probably I'd say in the next 10 days or so. It'll be a very basic website because we're really going to work with people that are for the most part spending, minimum 75 to $100,000 a month. But I'm going to be pushing out more value. I don't know. I may end up doing a community or something. I'm not sure yet. But you can find me. I think as there's the points and stuff, LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me. That's Ryan Melnick, Melnick. Ross and I are always engaging on there as well. So that's probably the best place to find me at.
Yep. And listeners, we'll plug all of Ryan's information in the show notes. And when this launches, his website will definitely be live. So again, appreciate you coming on today, Ryan. This has been great. And listeners, if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you give us a follow or subscribe. That way you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. We put out 2 to 3 a week. And make sure you share it with a family or friend who wants to travel more, leverage points and miles, and make sure you give us a 5-star review as well. That helps us grow the show, keep this going, and I think it deserves a 5-star. I think Ryan does. So make sure you give us that one. Appreciate you again coming on, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.